Welcome to the Fantasy Thinker. I'm Jared, and today I'm going to do a couple of off-the-cuff reviews of a couple of books I just finished. One is the third book in a series, and the second will be a short novella written by Thomas Devens called The Scroungers that I really enjoyed. And but first things first, we're going to get into Stephen R. Donaldson's A Dark and Hungry God Arises, The Gap into Power. This is the third book in his Gap cycle, and it's no secret that I am a big Donaldson fan. When it comes to his writing, I really enjoy it. This third book is no secret either. Donaldson likes to subvert things. He likes to turn things around and do things a little different than the norm. And what Donaldson did different with this series in this third book is this is the book where we get information, where we get a little bit of exposition about the universe and how it works and how humanity, their place within the greater space and the cosmos and the universe and stuff like that, and how all this interaction with the alien amnioni, I think it's how it's called, how this interaction with them is how it works politically, how it works culturally, and the effect that the existence of these creatures has on humanity and what humanity strives for going forward. And all that stuff is typically stuff you would get in the first book of a series, especially fantasy series. You usually get all this setup, you get all this exposition about the world and the world building and you got to introduce the reader to that. Donaldson didn't do that. The first book in this series was this intense, very brutal look at a singular situation and what arose out of it, the real story. And the second book took a character from that first book and really got into her head and her situation, and she was the main focus of that second book. And we got more information in the second book, but it was still very inward focused, whereas this book expands the universe, gives us the exposition that we would have normally expected in the first book of a series, and lets us know what's going on in the universe, basically. And so Donaldson takes he expands the point of view of various casts of characters, giving us a lot of different viewpoints and chapter headings with just names, which is something that George Martin was famous for in The Song of Ice and Fire, but happened here first. But that's what he does in this third book, and I found that fascinating, especially the first time I read it way back in the 90s. I was like, wow, this is just so different. On this reread, it didn't disappoint for me. So I really like how that was handled, and it's very interesting because you don't get the much of the viewpoint of the character that we got in the second book. We were very focused on her in the second book, and then this book she was off to the side because we're getting everybody else's viewpoint. And it's interesting because we get echoes and allusions of the real story, the first book, in here, and we get to see how that real story is how it echoes in the different other characters' heads and how it changes depending upon their perspective. And I really like that. And Donaldson plays with a lot of themes throughout this book, and I really like one of his themes is this this contrast between having power and being helpless, being helpless to use it. That just because you have power doesn't mean you're all set. It doesn't mean that you everything's going to go your way, and that you're able to use that power in a manner that actually is effective for you or that matters. And this goes into the theme of doing things for personal reasons and doing things versus doing things for the greater good. That's something that gets explored a lot with all the different characters. Each one of them has that dilemma, except for one of them who is the personification of doing things for personal reasons and is kind of forced to do things for what may be considered the greater good. And so that contrast between that character and the rest of the characters who have varying degrees of doing things personally or doing things greater good, and that varies with each character, and you have all these different characters on that spectrum and in different places, and I really found that fascinating. And of course, they all have their own personal levels of doubt that go along with that. And I really like one sentence in here that kind of emphasize that point. It says, doubt by its very nature was omnivorous. It consumed everything. And I really like that. I really like that line. And so, the nature of doubt, this, and the other thing that ties into is the sense of duty that people have, the duty of decency versus expediency, which ties into this personal versus greater good, sense. And so I really, really just love all these themes that Donaldson puts into here. And there's also of course ties to the Ring of the Nibelung by Wagner. There's the greed of dragons. That's very, very prevalent in here. And just the movement of pieces that could be considered objects of power, whether they be technology or people, in here, I'm sure has ties to the Wagner's Ring opera cycle that I'm not fully grasping, but they're nevertheless, I trust that they're there. So to say the least, I am going to be soon continuing on the fourth book, Chaos and Order, and which of course is another obvious theme in this book, Chaos versus Order. So, and then it's splayed out right in the title of the next book, in this series, I should say. So that's with that said, that's everything I'm going to talk about today about A Dark and Hungry God Arises. Loving this series and want to continue on. So I also want to give a quick mention about The Scroungers by Thomas J. Devens. This was an interesting novella, and Thomas sent me an ARC, or not an advanced reading. It's already out, so it's not an advanced reading. He just sent me a RC, reader's copy, and I appreciate that very much. So I didn't know what to expect from this. I had heard from a few other people on Page Two that they really enjoyed it, and so I was like, okay. And I'm trying to get to. This is my self-published book of the month for last month for March, and so I'm trying to get to a self-published book as often as I can, hopefully one a month. And this was just a novella, but it covered my criteria. Um, the and it surprised me at how much fun I had reading this book. Uh, Thomas does something very interesting here. He takes a um, a group of characters who are fighting in this war, and the war's kind of over um, because events happen. I don't want to give anything away, but the aftermath of this war puts together this motley crew of characters that um, interact in very fun ways, and they come together in this town that was is feeling the after effects of the war, and they're trying to put the pieces back together, and how these characters interact in how they help or hinder this putting the pieces back together after this big war is really a joy to read about. And I really like how Devens separated the characters, made them unique and individual, and brought them together in this unique and interesting way to solve a unique and interesting problem within the town. And and like I said, it's a short novella. It gets to the point. It's very succinct, but he does a great job of these keeping these characters unique and not blending them together in such a short period. That's not easy to do. And um, even though some of the he has like epigraphs in front of each chapter, and some of the poetry is a little, it's okay, but it's fun. And I really enjoyed myself with this story. I'm looking forward to reading more in this world of the something about the vermin. I'll have to look at the title of that. But yeah, there we go. Vermin of the Old Empire. Yes, that's it. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to more of these, and whenever I do, I'll let you know how they are. But go pick this up. It's available everywhere, Amazon, wherever. The Scroungers, Vermin of the Old Empire by Thomas J. Devens. It is a blast to read. It reminds me a little bit of some of the snippets that I've read from The Black Company by Glenn Cook. Very kind of similar to that, but definitely unique in its own right. So check it out. All right, that's all I got for today. Uh, Thank you for watching. Be good to each other, and I'll see you next.